Wow, I love my job. Just feel a little sleepy. If I could have another Coke, I'd feel absolutely cool. Listen, Max and Soma, if you see this video, great props from me and say hello. Your dad is doing cool. That's what we have. The weather is cool. Perfect sunshine. Everything's cool. Wish all good. Hugs. Glory to Ukraine. Staffy War. The history often repeats itself. If back into history, we had a lot of wars with Russia as well, imperialistic wars. The history goes as spins. If we don't stop it right now, and if we don't put it to the end right now, it's gonna last forever. I don't want my kids, your kids, other kids grow up and be at war once again. I want to be peace. But before that, I got him. I got two. 2 birds down. 17 birds. 17 birds in. 5, 6. God damn. 7. There were 20 fucking birds in. I can see Ukraine trident on the tail. It's Russian for sure. Dedicated to Russian airborne. My lads were calling in. I told me, take your gun and get to Gostomel. Let's get it a barbecue. I was like, alright. I took my gun and I went to Gostomel. Some pathetic Russian crap music playing. So the party fun was all over the place in Gostomel. This is like a duck hunt. Keep it chill. The only thing, you don't have a 2-barrel gun. You just have a bolt action one. And you gotta pin it down really sharp with the sniper weapons, you know, to make it a precise shot at the big distance, especially in the sky where you got a glass of wind. You gotta do a bunch of calculations before that. Russian propaganda music. And after that, our lads were in. These are ours. All of these specs, ops, you know, were in the scene and they wandered around. And the forests around are really cool. European Bucha, all of these Klevdia, Tarasovka, Makarev, all of those are great forests all around the place. These guys were wandering in the forests. It was really cool that local lads knew the territories, and we also had some road cameras on the houses, and we could watch them wandering across the forests. It was like a fucking trash. You got crutches, you got a bolt action, and you're partying with that kind of stuff in the forest. Like the lads around were like, oh, you man, you're an amputee, you got only one leg. How you did it? Then all of our spec ops were in, some of our Ukraine commandos came in, they were questioning the Russians. How many of you were there? How did you drop in? From heli. Did you see other lads? Yeah, all of them were wounded. All of you guys will be wounded later. So, the adrenaline was in the veins. What shall we go? What are we gonna do in Bucha? European. Alright, let's roll there. The man telling fucking Russian douchebags all their tanks out in the Vokzalna street. The radio was a big problem for us. You don't know where the friend is, where's the enemy. you can't really help it. When you look in the scope, you can't help it. The orcs did not really bother to like even take down the whole facility, take down the whole apartment block. They could hear the shots somewhere, and they would like really blaze in that direction from all big tracks, all vehicles, artillery that they had. And I didn't have any team that I would do a shot and someone would cover me, so I was a loner. I just creeped in somewhere. I got the Opel Vectra C, the car, so it was like a sniper nest on the wheels. You see something and spray. And there were some guys later on who drove me, and I was in the rear seat doing my job. There was a great party. Then from there we got closer to my homeland place. I'm actually from Sumy district, but the late years I've been living at the Zhytomyr highway, and there's a small cottage village called the Landscape Lakes, and it was built in 2014-2015 by the Defense Ministry, and it was built for the ATO members, the anti-terroristic operation. So, at the village, mostly the fellows there are from the ATO of 2015-2014. The guys with contusions, wounded, but the only one guy without a leg and amputee is me. Look at what happens in the Abalon here in Kyiv. Even without a passport, you just have to come in and you grab a Kalashnikov. So we didn't arrive there because the orcs started to get there from Makovishina at the Zhytomyr highway, and I'm living right there, close to these crossroads. The Zhytomyr highway got blocked. It was when I couldn't move any further to Kyiv, and no one could also get to me. I would never believe that one day I will be defending my own cottage village. Well, it's really cool for me because my third floor balcony faces the Zhytomyr highway, and I can see very well what is going on at the Zhytomyr highway. And the orcs started to drive their convoys through the Zhytomyr highway, and because the Google Maps were down, and we kept the lights off, and our cottage village wasn't seen from the highway pretty much, and especially in the winter because we had the lights off, you couldn't see it. But actually, according to any military tactics, you never take a risk when there's some uncovered distance between the highway and your cottage. We got some villages on the way, and the orcs could not really take any risk to cross through the field because it's an open space. And then our wives started getting us spanking, like, where the fuck are you guys? The fucking tanks all over the place at the highway, and they're aligned with actually our house lines. And we have no basements, we have no cover, and if the Russians get in there and get into CQB, it's gonna be trouble. So we have to do something with the people. So I came down and said, you guys get out from here. But where to go? The Zhytomyr highway was already under Russians, so the only salvation would be get through the forest and just take a drive to Kyiv. What shall we do? We were looking for the local lads who can be helpful. We were looking around, there are women, old men, who? And there were two lads, Anton and Vova, the late. We got together with them, and the guy, Yeremenko Vova, the late man, he showed up, Andrew Ismailov, and Alex Petrushenko. I told them, I told Andrew and Anton and Vova to get the evac, like drive out all men, the old men, women. So it got underway. Someone was loading on the track. But before the people got together, we and other guys got a party. Anton and Vova, we got Volkswagen Passat and red Victra Opel. So I learned that at the 51st kilometer there were some SAF. We jumped in the car, Vova and me. We drove it to the 51st kilometer. The guys pointed guns on us, and I got out of the car, and I had a code word, Palanitsa, and this is like cool word. I screamed Palanitsa, and then from the bridge, the Viking, another lad, was shouting, take guns down, I know that lad. He's ours, friendlies. So the Viking was also the man of my profession. He's also an amputee. Me, Katran, Viking, all of us, we had the common chevron that was made by Katran, where it's a prosthesis, and a sniper rifle. The badge saying, bad runners, good gunners. So I said, listen man, it's a fucking asshole place here. A lot of vehicles, I don't know what to do, I just got one balled. So thanks to Viking. Viking didn't reject, and he said, listen Jenna, I'm gonna give you a hand. Just let me see what I have. There was incoming information that their officer, the captain, the commander of their group, he was ready to get into the game. He just needed some info from you, some chords, and we'll give you some possible assistance. So we started the party. I started shipping them some information. We were driving 2 cars for the recon. We were scouting around the Kopylov, Makovice, where the ARCs convoys were moving from. That was the most impressive back then during these Kyiv battles. That the officers that never ever saw me before with a callsign Hulk, after Viking said that I got a friend from Azov and he's a great serviceman, this dude is sending me some chords. And this officer, the Viking's friend, just believed Viking, and then he also believed into what I was sending him. And that was very impressive, that you never knew the guy. He was a commander of the group, and SOF captain. This is not a mere guy, like he's a big boy. And because he trusted me, without even knowing me, he was receiving all this info, like he took it really seriously. And we were nailing them down on those cards. I don't even know what to say from the beginning. So the orcs were crossing the Zhytomyr highway and they entered the Kopylov. At the end of the Kopylov, we got sort of facility. And they were going to Matyzhin, because through there they could drive further to Fastiv and encircle the whole city of Kyiv, and encircle the city of Kyiv also. Cut the Kiev-Odessa autobahn. But the people cut logs, like they cut trees in Matyzhin, and there was like real moisture and melting snow. And then everyone got around in the backside of the facility, and they got bogged in the mud in those fields. So they stayed there overnight. We could hear the generators working, there were lights on, and the facility's security man, he was shipping some cords to the others, and we just know that they're sitting there in mud at the fields trying to heat up. There was a breeding station where the fucking orcs were staying, and this house on the very edge, this turn on this smaller street, and the tank was right there. So I'm like getting out from that small street, just trying to get some cords, at least trying to take a snapshot of the tail of the tank, and then the tank starts to blaze away, and I'm on my small old Opel, and my clutch really screwed me, So I'm trying to tap on the gas and trying to get it back in the reverse, but the car won't really go. And then I can hear the bang. Then the car moved a little bit, but just enough for me to survive. The shot came past my car. So there was a lot of this moisture and a lot of snow around the breeding station. And these guys got like really bogged down in the fucking mud. Plus the locals were like falling these trees right there on the road. The road was blocked. And they just like couldn't get through this huge log right there. It was like in the middle of the road. The locals did it. All this road takes you to Matuzhin. And then the radio was off. There was no mobile connection. GPS was like really screwed. You have to come really close to capture the chords, because when you were shipping these chords to Sasha, you needed to like get it really, really precise. I have the voice message at the Telegram from Staffy. Like, we got any big guns out there? And I said like, hey man, is this a joke? No man, I'm serious, find the guns. Like, I need real fucking big guns. So I had some friends that I know in the artillery. But to begin with, I had a friend operating the Bayraktar. So the Staffy sent the chords to me. And there were about 30 vehicles, 30 tracked vehicles. And he said later, I didn't know you did it so fast. So I did everything really well. I organized some informers, like some scouts all around that they gave me calls and told me who and where. Bucha, Tarasovka, Irpin, Makovice, Andreevka, Lipivka, Matuzhin, all these radius, all these huge areas, I got my scouts down there. And I would know straight ahead how many people were there, how many orcs, how many vehicles, what facilities they would take. But it's kind of little weird with the locals, especially those who were not in the military, because they don't really know well how to ship you the chords, because they're sort of sending you voice messages like, do you know that blue barn out there? Yeah, so there's a convoy. Where? Right there, sending you the screenshot. So it took me a while to figure out where exactly was happening. Like the grandma Dusu said, it's all around the corner. Which fucking corner? Man, it will take me a while to figure it out. But just due to the fact that I was in the military and I'm the local, so I could see those screenshots and all those descriptive things and ship it to the Bayraktar operator. The Bayraktar operators came in, then the fast goers came in and dropped some bombs. So when I was sending these chords to SAFs, they started like chasing these vehicles inside of the facility. And then I drove out of the Kyiv and I saw a convoy just going straight against our path. So we gave it a quick turn into Zhytomyr highway. We came out of the turn. We got into the pedestrian bridge. The fucking armored vehicle just runs out of there and starts blazing fucking around. It's good that Baba was a good driver, so he was fucking zigzagging away from there. We got away from that. We got like really low, and the convoy passed away. So Yura gave me a call and said, what's the fucking column with? Where's the fucking column? Yura is wounded now and he's in hospital. So this guy Yura was like really picking chords, really precisely. I got to know Staffy some time ago when the huge convoy arrived. There was a Helix, a grey Helix arriving. I was there with a gun pointing on him saying, who the fuck are you? And he said, I'm a serviceman from Azov, I'm a spotter. So that's the way I learned Yura. Yura lives right here. Hey man, do you remember me? Where's mommy? Call her. I wasn't there. Me and my kids were away. There was no connection. He was like climbing on that apple tree. There was really very bad connection. So basically, spotting them right here, he even managed to take a snapshots and take a videos of the fucking orcs moving through the village. And then he even made it, like he shipped these cords to us and named the number of the vehicles. So one perfect moment, we spotted the enemy. There were some Russian armored vehicles. So when the Russians moved out from this turn, they had such a rooking change. One guys were covering the flanks and the other guys were passing through the Russian convoy. And at this particular moment, me and Yuri were there, and the distance was like really big. So it was time to make shots. I made a shot, and the MTLB was like really scared. The guys were like driving really slow, at ease, now chilly. They weren't hiding actually. I saw the head from the hedge. So when I made it a shot, the MTLB came out across the curb and fell into the bushes. They were trying to like get across the bushes and drive through the field, but they got bogged in. So me and Anton, we approached to this pedestrian bridge over there. You got me? Yeah. So at the pedestrian bridge, right underneath there's a bus stop. You got me? Yeah. So just next to the bus stop, I was trying to climb over the billboard. You see? Yeah. And I was like glancing through the scope, like just trying to check out what the fucking lads were doing. They got some vehicles around. We fucking pinned down one guy, and then we nailed him, and the others like ran away. And I said like, all right, let's see what happens. Maybe those lads will come back, but no one came back. So the Kopilov guys came over, and we started to fucking smoke them up. Like Kopilov guys are like Somalian pirates. I said, how the fuck are you gonna burn this? There must be some toys inside. And they said like, yeah, there must be something in the MTLB. And then we checked the MTLB. There were a lot of bags with the civil dressing. So there was a hard moment, and it was like really difficult to check out who is the enemy, because the guys got civis like uniforms, like civis dressing, and then when they were like running away from the MTLB, they would be dressing in civis, and it was like really hard to check out at the moment who the fuck are they. But then we finally took out all the toys that were inside there and fucking burned it. And I got some SOF guy that I know, and then he said, I got 2 Verba manpads. Okay, so I said, I got these 2 manpads, I will drive it to you, but I cannot really drive it to you because it doesn't fit into my car. I just like have one bolt rifle, so how the fuck I'm gonna do this? So these guys drove up to us and took these Verba manpads, gave us a lot of other anti-tank things. We took all of this gear and came back to Makariv. After a short period of time, we burned their MTLB too. So there's a noise coming in. I said, like the fella said, there's a noise coming in, and the MTLB was burned. I was smoking, and there was a field and the house on the edge of the road, maybe like 900 feet. And I'm observing kind of stuff that the man on the crutches with one bolt rifle is like jumping across the field. There was a grandma living there, and then the grandma said like, hey boy, come in, hide down. So, and then we saw an MTLB with a driver mechanic head just above, and I saw them coming into the crossroads. So, and I was like, hey, listen guys, do you see that MTLB coming in? Yeah. Do you see anyone around else? No. Do you see any cover from any side? No. And I said, alright, let's see what I can do. There was no radio, so I was screaming to Vova, do you see like someone else coming in except that one MTLB? He said, no, it's all clear. And I said like, alright, clear is clear. So the only good thing about this small turn was that as soon as the vehicles came into this small turn, there were houses on the both sides, not like the fields along the highway, so there was no wind, and the gasoline wouldn't be coming between these two houses and the fences. And when they come in, they go little lower off the curb, and you have a perfect window for a sniper shot. So they slow down a little bit because they saw another MTLB smoked. They slow down a little bit, and I fucking nailed him straight there in the head. The driver and mechanic was down. So there wasn't much time after what I did, because I realized that if the resupplies will arrive, that I'm a goner. I spoke to Alex on the radio, and I said, "Hey, listen, there's some more Kyiv guys gathering around. They got some Molotov cocktails, they're ready to burn the fucking bastards." Alex said, "Alright, do something." So in Kyiv, do something. This is like a simple decision. The fucking MTLB was thrown over with a lot of Molotov cocktails and fucking popped. The MTLB was burning and exploding. A lot of frags were flying out of the fucking MTLB. The Kyiv guys were running around and picking the frags. And like on the radio, like, "Hey Zhenya, there are a lot of frags around with these small squares on them. Do we need them?" I was like, "Are they like green? Intact?" No. It's from the blown up MTLB. They're like fucking red hot. And I was like, "Alright, but we'll use it for our fishing." I said like, "Are you fucking idiots?" I just ran back there to see what happens. I saw a lot of frags around, everything smoked. And they were picking all of these frags for fishing. I said, "No, it's red hot, come on." But Alex and other frags and other guys, they took the bag and picked a lot of those shit-hot frags into the bag. I said, "You know, guys, you're fucking nuts. Alright, I'm gone." And then they said, "Hey, Staffy, will they work?" I said, "Hey, listen, they're red hot. They won't." So somebody screamed, "Bring in some cold water." They poured water on the red-hot frags. It was producing that particular crazy noise. I said, like, "You fucking nuts, guys. Bye-bye." So we drove back to the landscape lakes. And then we got some carts coming in. The carts with a KAMAZ and some other vehicles. The Russian vehicles. And then I said, "I'm gonna scout it around." I got home. I thought, alright, it's enough valor for today, because I'll be fucking going Elvis. That certain point across from my village, the orcs started to show up. Just across the road, there's Kyiv cottages village. That particular morning, early morning, I climbed up into my second floor, and I was observing from my window there. The two tracks, the two APCs were right there in the rear of the convoy. And I was on the phone with Staffy, and I said like, this and this and this. So I finally, after a few days, I was in good touch with the SOAF guys, and I was sending them a lot of cords of the whole fucking trash that was going around. And these cords were further shipped to some bigger guys. So then we just shipped another cords. Now we see a huge arrival and a huge bunch of the black smoke. And then I said, "Listen, we need some big birds and fast goers coming in, dropping some bombs, because the artillery won't reach this place." I was calling to Yura from Kyiv, and I said, "Listen, you gotta give me a warning when they will be particularly nailing on this particular cords." Then we heard like 2 Sukhoi jets coming in. I was looking out in the window, and I saw like the crooks were flying through. No, what the fucking crooks? These were the Sukhoi jets. Like one jet was particularly going on target, and I saw them dropping the bombs. Bang, 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 and one of these mines and we saw a lot of smoke, like a lot of smoke around, and there was a loud bang in the middle of the road. I went out into the street. All these craters, all the wires on the road, a lot of garbage. Like about half a kilometer from me, the birds dropped a lot of bombs. There were huge craters around. And in that particular moment, there was a new convoy of orcs coming in from Makovice. They realized that their positions were actually lit up, and they realized that they have arrivals, and we were pounding on them. They got losses. So the orcs were getting out from Makovice and trying to hide at this cottage village. I don't know where exactly they were hiding there in Makovice. So there's a ring road around Makariv, Claudia, Tarasivka, Bucha, Irpin. And from there, from these big forests from Gostamo, they were trying to move in from there into this direction. So right here, this big forest begins, and the Russians were entrenching right there. They were hiding their vehicles right there. They were trying to entrench right here at the roadside. So my cottage village is right there. This is the Zhytomyr highway, and they were entrenching right here. This is like the access road to the cottage village and the Makariv Dachi cottage village. There's a windbreak, and in this windbreak, they were kind of hiding the two MTLBs, the two APCs, but when you give it a turn right there in the drive-through, you see a two-floored cottage. There was a big sniper kind of boy sitting in there with a big Kel guns. So in the beginning, the orcs kind of didn't drive through here. There was one KAMAZ and one MTLB coming in. They actually made a recon. They wanted to see around. They sort of stayed low. So me and the other guys, we parked near there. The late Kuzmich lived here, the old man. He was very useful. He shipped us a lot of information. So behind this particular house, there's a green fence through the road. And by that road, near the green fence, they got one Kalashnikov from the SOF. So with only one toy, the Kalashnikov, they tried to scout around, they got pinned down, and they lost the Kalashnikov right there, together with my fucking sling. Oh, that's sad, my sling is sad. So they made it to this particular house, this cottage, with a machine gun. We're up on the second floor in this cottage. And they were blazing away in all directions, especially something that moved from the forest. So as soon as we scouted like where the actual APCs parked, and the guys got pinned down from this house, and that's how we learned that there's some grunts in the particular cottage house. So we knew what to do with that. And in the first house, the facade was taken down, and one tank moved in through the broken facade. And when our UAVs were in the air trying to scout around, they couldn't see the tank. The tank was hidden between the remaining walls. I called Sasha, and I said, listen, right there, I'm sending you some coordinates, there's a tank, and right there some other vehicles. There was some IFV right there, and when from Kapilov they were blazing into this direction. They were making these turns towards this Makariv cottage village, and they were kind of trying to fight a hideout right there. What is particularly interesting, that along the road there are some noise screens, like these tall fences. And these fans, behind the fence, actually there are people living. There are civilians, old men, women, and so on and so forth. And there's a gas station straight ahead. So I would lead these coordinates, he said. But, you know, the propulsion artillery, if we sort of lead it up right there, it's going to damage the people around. So he said, listen, we won't be able to do it. The propulsion artillery is just too rough. So we called each other a couple times. And then orcs actually got us apart because I stayed under the occupation and he stayed on the other side. So I cooperated with other lads, with the 95th Brigade and with some intelligence. So I started to help the 95th Brigade, other scouts, and he started working with them. They assigned him to the unit, and he was evacuated from there, and he got into the military hospital. Anton, we sent Anton there. He was like actually going together with the convoy. This was the Ukrainian convoy, and Andrew was driving all other civilians out of the village. So they were zigzagging on the back roads, but somehow he made it back. So only late Vova, Alex the late, and Andrew the late, and me remained in the village. So Andrew was securing the village, and Vova, and Alex, and me, we thought we should go out to party. So Andrew's investment was real big. Like, this man was in the village, he remained in the village, and on him were our lives, because he was spotting things around, and he was like sending us all the info. To keep it calm, grab a big, further round mag. If you have any bigger, take a bigger mag. Then we have a big box of ammo. The bigger box, the better. So I have a 50-round box. Beautiful 50 rounds. So he was right there on a certain location from which he could like really spot all locations. Feed the ammo belts. Give me tons of rounds. Hey, my brother rebel, don't you fail back once. If you have a limiter for 10 rounds right there, take it out. It was a great party. At the Berezivka we had Beretian soldiers, the orc soldiers. We knew that from there, if something will come out, we knew that if from Makovice something will drive out, then we could see it. So we were free to go in either space, in either direction, because it was pretty much visual. And we had another convoy coming through, and then of course we couldn't like really nail the first vehicle, and we nailed the driver mechanic in the head, so the MTLB stopped. This was a great location at the pedestrian bridge. The only bad thing about it was that the wind was coming in gusts. Although it was very well visual, but the winds are coming from the fields around, and it sort of was getting a little warmer, and so there was an image distortion in the scope. And then we realized that before every convoy arrived from Makovice, there were some first commandos driving through, and I got a rangefinder, and we could see that the convoy was coming in. There was Nissan Navara overtaking the convoy, and I realized that they will spot me out as well, so I was staying low. And then Vava was sitting right here, and Alex was sitting right there, and I got the bolt rifle. So I said, hey, Alex, bring me the bolt. So because Alex was just too high, so he was throwing me the bolt rifle right there on the roof of this bus stop, and I was like hiding behind that kind of shield. And I said, break some branches and throw me some branches so that I can get it camouflage. And now we saw the convoy coming in. And then it's always like when the Russian convoy was passing through, they had the Navarro that was driving through, first of all, with that V sign on the side, and the special commandos would be taking a stop and like sort of checking out the crossroad. Then I was staying low right there, and I saw the Nissan Navara driving in, stopping there. The commandos were in full battle rattle, getting out of the car, and then the convoy was like really running through the crossroads. It sort of became quiet, and then we were waiting to see what happens after that. And then the guys in the radio were like, fucking nail him down. And I said like, alright, but if I nail him down, what's after that? And they said like, alright, we'll see, after's after. And I said like, alright, let's give it a try. And I said, hey, listen, Alex, you got long hands, you're gonna be running away fast. And you, buddy, Vova, you stay super low, you got me, if something goes wrong, get fucking away from here. So I gave it a shot straight into the windshield, and because there's sort of because of the windshield gets my shot really tangentially, it just cracked, and I gave it another shot, and I saw the man in the vest, so I thought, where should I target him? I gave him a shot into the leg. He fell on the floor and was crawling behind the car. The other three fellows were just like running and taking some positions behind the facility, and I could see him like running under the car, like moving, but I couldn't see what the fuck he is doing. So I was talking to Alex on the radio, and I said, what the fucker is doing? Like he said, he's trying to reach out into the gun. We were observing this guy lying down there, wounded, so we couldn't like completely see him behind the rear wheels. And I said like, you guys, you just check him out and see what he's doing. And the guys were reporting me on the radio, and I had that tactical earpiece, and I was hearing the info on that fucking wounded guy. And then I was crawling towards the Nissan Navara, and then he had like a gun pointing at me and said, hey dude, fucking put your fucking gun on the deck. And I said like, listen, and he was a Chechen guy, the bearded guy. I saw his chevron, it says the Tatsinskaya Brigade. There were a lot of these cases when the Chechens were shooting on their own soldiers, like the barrier troops. The Chechens would be acting as the barrier troops. And I came to him and I said like, fucking drop your fucking gun on the deck. And I said, Vova, do you see anything? Vova was saying, he's trying to reach out into the pistol. And I was shouting him, you fucker, I got your pistol on the fucking deck. He threw the pistol on the floor. I double checked with Vova, the pistol was on the floor. He said, yes, on the floor. So I was crawling, my tactical trousers were super dirty, and I was crawling through this like dirt. My coat was torn apart. I came close to this Chechen guy, and then the story goes like, he's going like, hey brother, just brother, don't let me down, let me die like a warrior. And I said like, what you offer? And he said like, give me a frag and I will blow myself. And I said like, hey, look at me, I don't have a fucking leg, you see me? Yeah. What the fuck I'm gonna do? Die together with you if you like blow yourself up with a frag? He said, oh brother, you don't have a leg? And I said, yeah, goddamn, I don't fucking have a leg. So I gave a call to my lads on the radio. I said, find fucking somebody to pick this guy out of here. I'm keeping him on the scope, but I don't know what the fuck this guy's gonna do. So I was screaming to this lad, like, if you do just give it a move, I'll fucking nail you down, you got me? But at the same time I realized that if the reinforcements will come, I'm a goner. So there was another like helix coming down the road, and I said, oh shit, what the fuck shall I do? There's a fucking huge helix driving in fast. And I said to Vova, hey, run ahead of this fucking helix and stop them. Tries to raise the hands and talk to them and explain them what happened. So I continued to scream on that Chechen guy lying on the floor like, if you move, motherfucker, I will fucking kill you. So Vova was waving hands to this huge helix, and then the guy said Palanitsa, and he said also Palanitsa, so which is a code word. And so the guys were like, who the fuck are you guys? And we said, we are friendless, we are friendless. Who the fuck friendless? So these guys came over with big guns. There were 4 men getting out of the car. He said, where the fucking sniper? And I said, I'm here, I'm here. So they were screaming to me, all right, we got him, ease. So they had some face masks and all these big new guns, volcano guns or something like that. So they picked this Chechen guy and drove away. Thank them so much. I don't fucking know who the fuck they were. This huge Navarro Russian car with the V sign on the side, they just tucked it somewhere else and they said we'll pick it later. So we smoked the MTLB and the APC, and then we see another tank driving through with 2 V signs. The huge tank, like the real huge fucking tank. We snatched the fucking tank. He was driving to Stoyanka direction, just in the Kyiv direction. There's a gas station, BRSM. And then this tank is just starts to cough, like the engine was like probably low diesel. And then I just got goddamn only 1 round of the triple G308 rounds, and I just like realized that my Opel Vectra is far away, and we were in this position waiting, and we were trying to see what happens, and then we could see the snatch going up. I gave it a shot, they hit down, so we were like wasting a lot of time waiting to see what happens, but we had nothing to like really burn it. Then the snatch opened up again, and the orc started to run away into the windbreaks. We were like, alright, get away fuckers. The whole tank was ours. And then we had our commandos coming in from somewhere else. So we checked the orc tank, it was intact. We found their passports and their docs. We drove with our scouts to the Dobro Park behind the Makarov, and we saw Russian vehicles right there, smoked. We had a lot of wounded and KIAs. There was the mortar team that was attacked. The Russians were killed. Check out the wires. Check out the wires. Be attentive, alright? We found a lot of documents. There was a lift of documents. We had a sniper nest somewhere around here. So behind us, there was another car coming in from the behind. It was a passenger car. We pointed guns on this passenger car. These guys came out of the passenger car and said, "Glory to Ukraine, glory to Ukraine." We talked to each other. I came closer to them with my hands up because the guys were pointing guns at us. So I never knew if it was a sabotage team or if these were Russians or who fucking ever. But I saw Staffy. He came out with crutches. He just came out on the road in crutches and he started talking to those guys. And he explained what they did. And I saw a huge gun sticking out from the big helix. And then the guys said, "Hey, don't burn the fucking orc tank. We will give it to our guys. We need a tank." So we snatched that Russian tank in this way.
Хоч побачили, блядь, ці жити щось. То Мальдіви. І вирішили їхати далі.
А я здружився якраз на 51-му кілометрі.
So on the 51st kilometer, there is a bridge at the turn to Makarov, and the tanker guys were at the 51st kilometer, the tank brigade, and their commander was right there as well. And I said, "Hey, we got a tank. Let's snatch a tank." He said, "Where?" I said, "Like, they're up the road." And he said, "All right, cool. We'll start our tank and just tug it away." Yeah, there were some troubles with our vehicles as well because one of our turrets was screwed, and then the engine was also kind of coughing with our vehicles, but we finally managed to tug it out. We found driver mechanic of a Ukrainian brigade. We drove him in our Opel Vectra. We drove him to the Russian tank. We got him in the Russian tank. He started it up. So to pick the tank, we had to go through this Makovice line, which was pretty much under fire. And I don't fucking finally know if they took this tank or not, but at least most probably they got it. So my guy said like, all right, we're gonna continue the party. I said like, are you nuts or what? I'm at the anti-terrorist operation ever since 2014, and you guys, you're like crazy. All right, so we grabbed another Molotov cocktails box, and Alex took the whole bunch of them, and I said like, why the fuck do you need them? And said like, we fucking smoked the Russian vehicles. And they drove through the Kyiv, and we saw one tank in the rear of the convoy, and the mechanic was out of the hedge smoking, and I said like, hey, maybe we shouldn't burn this. So we got him off guard, and then the Russians were in the tank, and we dropped some Molotov cocktail in the tail of the tank. It started burning. We smoked it up. But previously, I gave it a shot from my action bolt, and I broke the optics glass, and the tank scope wouldn't work. And after we landed a Molotov cocktail on it, it just completely blazed. So we also had some troubles finding some matches. And we had only one lighter, but the flint was screwed, so we found the last remaining 3 matches. And I said, hey Alex, just chilly man, chilly, do it slow. He lit it up. So we hurled these Molotov cocktails, and the tank bomb was on a fire, all these gnats and air intake, so the liquid got into under the nets, and everything was ablaze. The turret was rotating on all sides, and I was just there in the hideout, like checking out if someone will jump out of the fucking tank. But I saw the top of the cap of one guy, and I did a mistake. I actually gave it a shot immediately after I saw top of the cap, and then the whole crew hit again into the tank. The tank kept burning, and Alex said, fuck, I burned the fucking tank. God damn. And I said, hey Alex, this is great, you burned the fucking tank. And he said, but there are people inside. And I said like, what do you fucking mean? Are you scared of fucking Russian orcs burning inside of the fucking tank? You worry about this. This is a mess going on around, man. And you are kind of so sorry about the fucking burning orcs? Come on. So there was another vehicle coming in, and it was like blazing away in all directions. They were mowing down like everything around with the MGs, and I said, you guys stay on the deck, don't raise up. Was a lot of astonishment from the guys. Another my friend is Vitaly. His call sign is Bzhyk. His call sign with him ever since he was at war. So when the party started at the Zhytomyr highway, it was the SOFs, the 95 Brigade. They were trying to get into our village through the forest. This is how we started our cooperation. Then I gave him a call and I said like, do you need a sniper? They said, yeah, sure. Yeah, we need a sniper. So they said, we're gonna pick you up. Then I said, like, let's go and have a party in Makariv. And he said, let's group together. And so that we decided that someone will stay in Makariv and give more information and scouting on where the ARC convoys go. Makariv was already under the control of 95th Brigade. We got a good radio with the 95th Brigade, and then we saw some fellows driving in. One guy was called Yura, he wore jeans, some camo above there, and a face mask. And another guy was bearded guy, a smaller guy, but a lot of chevrons and full battle rattle. We saw that these are commando guys, like special guys, so we started talking to them. They were kind of intelligence guys, most probably, but I made a conclusion that they were from the defense intelligence. So we started like talking to them, and then I found out that they were really from the defense intelligence. So we were like chatting to them. And in Makovice, there was another Russian tank that was like blazing into our direction. And the defense intelligence guys, they are like real specs. They're cool guys. I have always dreamed to get into the defense intelligence, but they were never interested in servicemen. They were interested in big vehicles. They wanted to nail down big vehicles. So in Makovice, there was a propulsion artillery, the Smerch vehicle. Actually, it was a Smerch propulsion artillery feeder, like a loader vehicle, and me as a sniper and Vitaly, we drove to this Makovice. He was a local guy, so he knew all these hidden paths around there. Me and Vitaly Bzik, he was with me in the car. He was driving me, actually. I was in the back seat doing the sniper job. So what was hard around there, the locals came over. And they said, there's some Moscovans around there. They said, there's some big convoys around there. So we were kind of securing this particular part of the road while we were tagging this Russian like Smerch resupply vehicle, and only me, I was there with one bolt rifle trying to secure off the whole operation. And the problem was that many Russians were dressed in civils and you never knew where to shoot. So we tagged that Smerch vehicle away. We tagged it to a certain place. So here we snatched the Russian loader for Smerch propulsion system. That's how we are at war. Look at that. Tugging. So these sort of adventures and a lot of parties were right all over the place. Then we had the grandma coming in saying, hey, listen, there are some orcs shitting. I was like, what do you mean shitting? They scared? No, she said like, no, literally shitting. So they're shitting around the corner. And I said like, why are they shitting? And she said like, me and my daughter-in-law gave them some food, so we cooked them some food. So, and why so? Well, we heard that these guys are gonna move to another house tomorrow, and me and my daughter-in-law gave them some cookies. And our guys were like, oh, wow, it's gonna be a nice party. So I just saw these guys going there around the corner, a lot of big bangs, bang, 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 and our guys going back, all orcs nailed. And we said, listen, Grandma, we just drilled your walls a little bit. And the Grandma was like, oh, this is like a no problem. I'll fill it in. But can I take some boots for my old man? Sure, take them all. I'm never in war without a coke. I was wounded near Marinka in 2014. I was kind of at the evac without one leg, and in my hydration system I had only one coke. So when I drove to Kyiv, I got some friends, the commander of artillery, his callsign was Zabava, and I was always like, got some coke, and everyone around knew that I'm never at war without coke. So if they wanted to call me in, they were like on the radio, hey Staffy, will you arrive? I was like, and they were like, we got you, we got a bunch of cokes. And I was in. So we got together with them. We were like scouting around in my village with them, because the orcs from the Zhytomyr highway, from the cottage city, from the cottage town, they came into my cottage town across the road. So close to my houses, like 600 meters away, there's a birch windbreak, and they were staying at the birch windbreak. So I was reporting on them, trying to send some courts, and they were like, do they have their headquarters there, the birch trees? And I was like, I don't fucking have a clue if they have a headquarters there. I just like said, they got a bunch of vehicles in there. And they said, we lifted our UAVs and we said and we saw no headquarters. And I said like, but did you see a pine branches there in the middle of the birch windbreak? How the fuck do you think you got there? They're covering their tanks with the pine branches, and they were also cooling down their tanks with extinguishers. And also we had the night vision drones trying to check out the heat engine, but the engines were cold because they were kind of extinguishing them and they were covering them with these pine tree branches. So we got a group of friends from other companies, like from the 95th and from the Badger unit. So they were on the radios, like, what do you see? And I said, there's the APC, there's a Kamaz, and they have a table in the middle of the field and they're drinking coffee. What fucking coffee? What do you mean by that? Are you serious? Yeah, serious. I mean, like, they're drinking fucking coffee. So the Russians were kind of figuring out the cords with a special device, and they came in too close to our houses, took the cords, and then we were like, all right, could you like lead them up? But we got a reply that there are no headquarters, we can't lead them up. So we were taking time, giving more reports to our guys, to our gunners, awaiting that they can lead it up at the escorts. But we were waiting for a bigger crowd of orcs to arrive. But then finally I was having a party at Makariv, me, Andrew and Alex. We were separated, so we were not connected anymore because of some bad connection. It's later that I learned that he was working with some other people. I don't know it for sure, but most probably this is what happened. Some of that information came in wrong hands, and the Russians got this information. They drove into a cottage village of ours, and the orcs dressed in civvies with guns just killed our boys. One guy, I think Alex, was stabbed in his own apartment, and the others were killed. And his body, the orcs drove away. I don't know fucking why. He had no tattoos or anything. I just lost connection to them. So it's just later that I learned that the wives and the girlfriends were giving calls. The boys were gone. The boys got killed. So thanks to the fact that our lads were at the cottage. But thanks to the job they did, listen, many people are saying, why would they stay at the cottage place? But I would be like, listen, you guys, you don't fucking have even a smallest clue into what these guys were going through and which job they were executing there, doing these observations and scouting around. This information was priceless. So the Russians were moving in through this particular turn on the side on the right from the Zhytomyr highway. They were looking to another road through Fasova to Fastiv and then to Vasilkiv to encircle Kyiv from south. So all of this information, the scouting info that we were receiving from them was priceless. If the guys were not sending cords, the orcs would have gone much further. And there were so many vehicles that were smoked with the help of our guys. Unfortunately, 3 of our lads were killed. In scouting, you also have such a term called the realization of intelligence. The scouts know it pretty well. Aside from gathering the information, you also need to process it and get it into work. So all this information must be used somehow. It's not that you just waste your time getting the intelligence and then nobody's gonna work on
із-за
with that,
цього страдає
and
куча
nobody's gonna
людей.
be smoked. Because
Через
of that,
скільки
many
пам'ятників
people
ставлять?
are down.
Ого, а чо так довго?
When the monument is gonna be
Привіт, Льоша.
there. Oh, so long?
Надіюсь,
Why so
братан,
long?
тобі там
Hey, Alex.
спокійно,
Hey, buddy.
мирно, комфортно і весело,
Hopefully
як було тут.
You're peaceful there,
Дякую тобі
brother.
за все, що ти зробив.
Comfortable.
І
And
я обіцяю,
partying
люди
again,
дізнаються про те, що ви
Thank you
тут
so much
робили,
for everything that
і
you
що
did
ви
for
на
us.
посілку знаходилися не
I
зря.
promise you, Alex, people will get to
Братан,
know
реально не зря.
about what you did and
Красавці.
about your mission in the cottage village.
Спочивай з миром.
That was not for nothing. You're cool guys. Rest in peace. Eternal glory. Rest in eternal glory. Defenders of Ukraine. Yeremenko Vladimir. Ismailov Andrei. Petrushenko Alex. Postscriptum.
Всіх людей американського народу ми вам дякуємо за вашу працю, за ваш патріотизм і за вашу волю і боротьбу за славу нашої ненці.
Thank you so much for your work, for your patriotism, for your defense. Minneapolis, Minnesota, United States, March 2023. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes.
По-перше, дуже
You see these houses out there, like in the American movies? First of all, I'm super thankful to all those people who helped with prostheses. And the fact that I got abroad and I got into prostheses. And I'm super grateful to all my brothers and comrades. I think to all those people around who just helped me to have this dream coming in. I can walk again. That's how my training is going on. I'm walking on a run track, and that's how I get on my muscle bike. I got a really cool feelings that I got 2 feet once again. The last time I got on a muscle bike was so long ago, even before the Maidan. Even in the United States, you can find Ukrainian food. Some lard, home sausage, some Ukrainian tomatoes. Glory to Ukraine. I'm trying my best. Flexing out, training. Very soon it will be time to go back to the front line and get in combat. Glory to Ukraine. and thanks to the Prosthesis Foundation clinic.
Бо там намного проще. Там ти
My
приїжджаєш, ти
largest
знаєш, де
wish
свій,
was going back
а де
home.
чужий.
I mean,
Ти
going
знаєш
back home,
задачу,
going back to
ти
the front
знаєш,
lines.
що тобі надо робити.
Because
Там
it's way
намного
simpler
проще.
there.
Там немає
Because you know where the
лжи,
friend
там
is
немає
and where is the
цієї
enemy.
фігні, бо там перед
You know
смертю
what's
всі
your combat
равні.
task.
Понімаєш?
There are no lies.
Пуля
There
не
is no
вибирає.
bullshit. Because everyone's equal in the face of death. The bullet is dumb. It just gives you the ultimate mark. Back mode, November 2022.
Красотень. Отак от і воюємо.
Красавчик, де другий? Отак, друзі, ми воюємо.
Yevgeny Sitenko. In the movie by Yuri Besenko, The War of the Staffy. Special thanks to Mikhail Tarasuk and Yuri Leshenko. And thanks to Vadim Storozhuk.